Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. My name is Riz. That there's Tim McKernan. That there's Anthony Stalter. And we are talking baseball futures today. That's right.
It's a warm weather state of mind, Riz.
Yeah, you know, it is warming up here in St. Louis. The spring training is in full force. Our buddy Tim here was down at spring training with the Cardinals last week.
That's right. Cardinals.
Scouting.
Scouting for the Spread Zone. That's what I was doing.
And takeaways?
A lot of players I didn't recognize by name or face. Looked down at the Marlins camp a couple hundred yards away. Same deal. But lovely uniforms.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So we are building a clean MLB 2026 futures card. League winners, World Series, MVP, Cy Young, of course, using the FanDuel board. So quick reminder, futures are long hold. Prices move, injuries happen. Bet responsibly, of course. So here's a plan. I don't know. We'll start with league winners first. And Anthony, you want to get us started with an American League winning pick?
Sure. So, guys, I did a little research.
What do you got?
Tony went into the old lab.
Oh, it's Tony.
Tony Stalter's back.
Yeah.
Trips me up because if it's Tony, it's a winner. That Anthony, he's 50-50.
He's shaky.
Tony, that's profit time.
September, Anthony's fine. Once you get past September. So I was looking at things, and each MLB season there's roughly 2 to 3 new division winners. Okay, not obviously per league, but for the entire.
That's interesting.
For Major League Baseball.
33% to 50% are new.
For division.
Yeah, no, I follow you.
Playoffs, you get about 4 or 5 new playoff teams per year. So, with that said, in the American League, I have two repeat winners in the division and 1 new. Blue Jays, I have winning the AL East again, and the Mariners, I have winning the AL West again. But I've got the Royals as the new AL Central winner.
You're short in the Tiger market.
I'm short in the Tiger market just a little bit. I do have the Tigers making the playoffs as a wild card. I've got the Yankees making the playoffs as a wild card. And I was between the Astros and Red Sox. And I went with the Astros because I think a lot of people will go with the Red Sox because they were the off-season darlings, right? So emerging in the American League, I typically go with strong pitching teams and teams that have really good defense. Seattle, to me, after nearly making it to the World Series last year, they fell in Game 7 to the Blue Jays. I think the Mariners are a sound play to emerge in the American League, winning that pennant at plus 500 at our partners at FanDuel.
So we're locking in. So we're recording this on February 25th. So obviously these numbers are going to move. People get hurt. End of spring training, some of these numbers will move too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick my AL pennant winner. So the favorite is the Yankees.
Yep.
Correct? The Yankees are sitting at plus 470. For the AL pennant, give me the Toronto Blue Jays at plus 700. Now, this is the range I love for pennants. It's not some lottery ticket, but you're paid. And if Toronto comes out hot, which they may, this number doesn't stay at plus 700. So I do like this number now. So give me, for the AL pennant, the Toronto Blue Jays at plus 700.
That's a good value play. I don't know if it's a value play. That term is overused, but I like what you did there. You eliminated the Yankees, who are the favorite at plus 470. I went with the Mariners at plus 500.
We're looking to make some money.
Bang for your buck.
We're looking to make some money.
And you saw it a year ago how they nearly won the whole thing.
Right.
So,
Tim.
It was right there for you.
The AL.
I am on the Mariners with you in the American League West. It strikes me as relatively obvious. I don't really know who will be competing in that division outside of the Astros with the Mariners, although it sounds like the A's are getting ready to ramp up for their appearance in Las Vegas once they exit Sacramento. I am buying the Tigers stock, but I do have some trepidation, in part because it strikes me as so obvious. Secondarily, you have the Skubal situation, and I don't know how that will play out.
The arbitration situation?
That, and would they make a move there? So I'm on the Tigers in the Central, and I will be intrigued to see what the Royals do this year. And then in the American League East, I'm on the Red Sox to win the American League East. They are plus 290. I think that division is up for grabs, and I think there are a lot of quality teams in that division. Logic would dictate that the Blue Jays will be in a ramp-up mode after coming so close and experiencing a heartbreaking World Series loss. And I was thinking of teams that experienced heartbreaking World Series losses and then how they responded. Because oftentimes, and I think we talked about this with regard to the Super Bowl,
yes,
and how teams fall off.
Yeah, the loser typically falls off hard.
Yes, indeed. So in baseball, I think the most heartbreaking World Series loss in the 21st century would be the 2011 Rangers. Being a strike away from winning the World Series twice against the Cardinals. They did make the playoffs in 2012, but they were never able to get back to the World Series with that group. They did win a World Series a decade later. And then the 2001 Yankees had an incredible season, thought they were going to be able to close it out with.
Here come the Marlins.
And then, no, this is the
Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks. Yeah.
The other team that joined the league at the same time.
Yes. And in 2002, they didn't make it to the ALCS. It was actually a random ALCS. Angels and Twins. It was very random.
Yeah, and the Angels, that was the year that the Rally Monkey came about.
Rally Monkey
beat
Scott
the Giants.
Yeah. And the Giants. So there really isn't enough data to like say, okay, I see that from the Super Bowl perspective where there is a large sample size. I'll be curious to see how the Blue Jays respond to that. That's a heartbreaker that they have to bounce back from. Wild card wise, I'm going Orioles. They're minus 115 to make the playoffs. I'm going Astros. They're minus 114 to make the playoffs. And this is a big number, but I think they will be there. The Yankees are at minus 265. And I know it's chalk, but sometimes I got to play the chalk. I think the Yankees get in as a wild card and they win the American League. I will take the Yankees to win the American League.
You know, it's just sticking with what Tim did there in terms of making the playoffs. I'm looking at the Royals at plus 120. I love that.
Yeah, because you can get the division or the wild card.
Absolutely, yeah. So I love that at plus 120. I think the Astros at minus 114 is a nice price as well. I'm looking at some of these other American League teams. I don't see anything else that really stands out. But
so again, on February 25th, you're not seeing anything else that you would not looks kind of juicy?
Not in the American League when it comes to making the playoffs. I think the best bet just to make the playoffs, Royals at plus 120. I would lock that in.
Yeah. Let's move over to the National League. What are you seeing, Tony Stalter?
All right, so National League, thank you. So I mentioned how 3 new division winners typically emerge. I had one new one in the Royals. Give me the Braves in the NL East.
Yeah.
I think the Braves bounce back. They can't have as many injury issues that they had a year ago. At least we're knock on wood. I think they reemerge in one of the best divisions in baseball. They win that one. I got the Cubs winning in the NL Central. I think it's their division to lose. I'm not dogging on the Brewers, but at some point, the
magic has to run out.
At some point, the magic. I don't know. It's like some sort of Patriot magic. You know, I think the Brewers talked to the same, witch doctor at some point that the Patriots did.
Joe Boo,
constantly making the playoffs. I got them out this year. I got the Cubs winning the NL Central, and how can you go against the Dodgers in the NL West?
Minus 600 to win the West, Riz. Minus 600.
Well, they're at plus 115 to win the NL.
You're not getting much value there. Minus 600, but they won it by 17 games last year?
Yeah.
And that was with the Padres, who I think might fall off a little bit.
So who do you got taking the pennant?
So I'll get to some wild card teams too, because I do think there's some value here. I have, like I said, I don't have the Brewers making it. I have the Mets, who had a collapse in the second half of last year. I'm sure, Riz, you were paying attention.
Sure.
I've got the Phillies. I just think they're too strong overall. And give me the Giants. The Giants at plus 180 to make the playoffs, I think, is your best value play when it comes to just simply making the playoffs. But look, how can you go against the Dodgers? I won't. I got the Mariners, Dodgers making it to the World Series. I would love to switch things up, but when you're signing every All-Star you can, you got a Hall of Famer damn near every position, I can't go against it.
I'm looking to make some money. So give me, to win the NL pennant, the New York Mets at plus 700.
Okay.
How about that?
The Dodgers, again, sitting at plus 115 to win the NL, and I get it, but I'm not doing, short price pennant unless I'm absolutely in love with the angle. At plus 700, I get a real payout in a loaded league. So again, we're sitting here February 25th, 2026. Spring training has just begun. I'm seeing this plus 700 for the Mets. I'll take it. Make some money.
I am on the Mets to win the National League East. I am high on the Mets. In the additions that they made, there was certainly a reaction from their owner, Steve Cohen, to the collapse last year. So you can expect there to be some infusion of talent. And sure enough, there was this offseason, in particular pitching-wise. I expect them to win. That NL East is a unique division. You're right. It's got great talent. It also has two teams that probably will do nothing at the bottom of the division with the Nationals and the Marlins. So those three teams will be able to benefit from that and then cannibalize each other with the Braves, Mets, and Phillies.
Really, that's what happened last year.
Yeah,
Phillies made the playoffs and nobody else did.
Yeah, it's a unique spot there, whereas the American League East has some depth to it with four teams that legitimately could win that division. I'm also on the Cubs to win the National League Central, and I actually think it's a good bet, even though it's an insane price to pay on the Dodgers. You have to have the stomach for it, but minus 600. The Dodgers, you want sample size there. Best of 7 series, the Mets could clip them. Absolutely. There was a weird stat 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. The Pirates were 6-0 against the Dodgers in the regular season. But as far as 162 games, who's going to catch the Dodgers unless they get wiped out by injuries? In the playoffs, I have the Giants, Pirates, and Braves. Yes, I said Pirates. I am buying Pirates.
I don't hate it.
Oh, is that right?
I don't hate it. I
was going to get lambasted.
I considered the Pirates, but when I looked at the Giants, I really like their lineup, and I think their pitching staff's a little underrated going into year 2.
Yeah, the Keller-Skeens combo, and they have some young talent that can do some damage there. And keep an eye on the Pirates, especially at plus 250, just to get into the playoffs. As far as the National League representative, I mean, I just got to say what I think. I don't know how I can't go with the Dodgers. And candidly, having the Dodgers and the Yankees playing each other as somebody who wants to see baseball tend to its economic disparity, it's perfect. It's just like the Dodgers giving the ridiculous contract to Tucker. That could have been the last straw from the owner's standpoint. If you got a Dodgers-Yankees World Series, it speaks to the economic issues within the game. So Dodgers and Yankees where I am on the World Series, boys.
All right, so just for fun, I tied some teams together in a parlay. So if I want to take a big swing, Blue Jays at plus 700 to win the AL, and throw that in with the Mets.
Oh, what
plus
is that
700.
What are we getting?
Plus 5,178.
Wow.
Blue Jays on the AL, Dodgers on the NL, plus 1,534. And if I want to do the two favorites, I want to do the Yankees and I want to do the Dodgers. I mean, more chalky, 1,053, plus 1,053.
Okay.
So if you want to tie all those together. Again, the big swing is the Blue Jays and Mets. More balanced Blue Jays, Dodgers, and more chalky Yankees and Dodgers. Plus 1,000.
Getting 10-1 on your money there.
Right. All right. So listen, let's take a break. We will come back and we will talk World Series winners. It's the Spread Zone, sponsored by FanDuel. And we are back on the Spread Zone, sponsored by FanDuel. Whether you're building a futures card, track and line movement, or just looking for game day action, FanDuel has you covered. All right, World Series futures. This is where people mess up. You don't need 10 tickets. You need a plan. And I'm thinking one anchor, one value, and maybe a sprinkle. So
I like it.
Anthony, we'll start with you.
How can you go wrong with the Dodgers at plus 210?
That's your anchor.
Yeah, that's your anchor right there. Absolutely.
Anchor.
At plus 210, you're getting, you could double up your money here. So that's your anchor. I mentioned the Mariners. I like the Mariners in the American League. They're plus 1,200. So I like that one as well.
That would be a nice bullet to fire.
I know you like the Mariners as AL West division champs.
Yeah.
And I like what you did there in terms of the sprinkle. So how about a big bounce back?
Throw me a sprinkle.
Actually, no. You want a sprinkle?
Yeah.
I mentioned this team a couple of times, and my awards tie into this team too. Give me the Royals at plus 3,500.
Dude, you are on the Royals jock.
I'm on the Royals jock, baby. I don't like the way that came out.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to let it breathe.
Staying edited. We'll edit it in post.
Tim?
I'm on the Dodgers. I know, but I mean,
that's your anchor, right?
Yeah, it just is. Now, the Mariners would be the sprinkle candidate. And from the National League, I mean, Riz, you were talking about the Mets to get plus 700 on a team that could legitimately win it. That's pretty good. It just speaks to the Dodgers' power.
That's to win the pennant.
Yeah. I mean, that's and it's 14 to 1 to win the World Series. So you have that. As far as a team, I'm surprised to see this number, but maybe they just don't think the depth is there in the rotation to get across the hump and get past, whether it be the Mariners or whoever comes out of the American League East. The Tigers are 25 to 1 to win the World Series. And if you would have asked me without looking, guys, what I would have set their number
plus 2,200, right? Is that what you're saying? Plus 2,200?
Yeah. I would have said, I guess, like plus 1,200 plus 1,500. I was stunned to see that number. And if you want the long shot, if we have the story of baseball, which would be the player's dream scenario, that would be the Pirates, Anthony winning the World Series. We are family in 2026.
Wow.
That'll pay you approximately 100 to 1 on your money. So if they can get in and shock the world, but if you got Skeens and Keller working some magic and they got some young faces offensively, that's 100 to 1.
You played it very well with Miami, winning the national championship before they even qualified for the playoffs.
Yes.
And you were able to play that thing well in the college football playoff. It's not insane. Take the long shot and work backwards.
In part because it's really the only division in baseball, in my opinion anyway, where there isn't a clear world championship contender. Yeah. I don't even think Cubs fans would say, yeah, we got a world championship contender. We probably have a National League Central winner, but we don't have a world championship contender. Every other division has a world championship contender. At least I think. Maybe they don't view the Tigers that way, Riz, since they're 22 to 1.
Well, so my anchor is the Dodgers at plus 210. It's the shortest number on the board for a reason. I'm not going crazy with stake, just a clean best team ticket. Then my value would be the Mets. Then I'm doubling into the payout tier. So the Mets at plus 1,300. If you believe in the Mets at all, this is the number. This is the type of number that could look really silly later in the season. And then my sprinkle is the Tigers at plus 2,200.
Yeah.
This is the AL path tickets. It's not about being the most likely outcome. It's about being the best risk reward sweat. Mm-hmm. So I think the Tigers look pretty good as a little sprinkle at plus 2,200.
They're also in a division with one other team that's going to be competing with them, and that's it. At least that's how I see it. It's the Royals and the Tigers to win the Central. So when you have that, then you have the benefit of being able to feast on the other teams that are at the bottom of the division.
And they have it all too. I mean, Skubal, they've got an ace in Skubal. They've got an outstanding number 2 in Valdez when you get into a short series in the playoffs. Jack Flaherty's your number 3. Verlander comes back, and he was more than serviceable for the Giants last year. He's your 4th. And then Casey Mize, former first-rounder in 2018, he's your 5th. So your starting rotation's good. You got a veteran closer in Kenley Jansen. And the lineup, it might not scare you, but this is a lineup that helped win a playoff series 2 years ago in Houston when they were a big underdog. A lot of same players still exist. It's drafted, developed, homegrown talent littered throughout that lineup. I like the Tigers a lot.
All right, before we hit the next break, let's talk league MVPs. So we'll start with the AL, and we'll start with you, Mr. Stalter.
Well, you got a theme going on here. Give me Bobby Witt Jr. to win the AL MVP at plus 550. Last year, he was the top shortstop in the league. He's got power. He's got speed. And if the Royals do what I think they're going to do, win the AL Central and be one of those teams that could be a legit contender all season, I think Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have a monster year. So give me Bobby Witt Jr. at plus 550.
I am high on Cal Raleigh having another big year for the Mariners. I think he would intuitively would go. That was probably a one-off thing. They'll figure it out for 2026. And I'm just buying into the Mariners, and I think that is the real deal. He did rake before that, not just at that level. And you're getting plus 700. I would imagine the vast majority of dollars are going to fall on one of two guys, Judge plus 185 and Witt that you made reference to there, Anthony, at plus 450. But to get 7-1 on Raleigh for a team that I think will win its division easiest,
I like it.
That is my reasoning there to go with Cal Raleigh. Riz at plus 700.
I don't know. Call me conservative on this. I'll go Aaron Judge
all day long.
185. If the Yankees are a top team, the narrative is automatic. It's a short price for an award, so I'm keeping it modest, but that's my pick.
All right.
And I'm sticking with it. All right, let's go NL MVP.
So this is where the best bet is Shohei winning it for a third straight year.
At minus 135.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the odds here. Give me Ronald Acuna Jr. at plus 1100. I think if the Braves do have a bounce back, again, you kind of got to play the season out a little bit, right? If I like the Braves to rebound, I like the Braves to win the NL East. How do we get there? Give me Ronald Acuna to have a monster season and plus 1100 to obviously get a great bang for your buck.
I think minus 135 is a bargain on Ohtani. I shall give you my reasoning. Unlike previous years, he's also going to be in the Dodger rotation. And you add that into the conversation about what he's going to do offensively. Somebody is going to have, whether it be Soto, Acuna, some kind of monster offensive year to replace that. Of course, injury could come into play. Would they feel comfortable continuing to have to go out there and pitch if he's not 100% right? But minus 135, it strikes me as the best bet of anything minus the Dodgers to win the National League West. The problem is there you're paying minus 600. Ohtani minus 135.
All right, for my NL MVP, I'm going Juan Soto at plus 650. I'm not laying minus 135 on Ohtani in February. So Soto at plus 650 is the exact profile I want. Elite talent, real number, and then you get a real payout. So give me Juan Soto at plus 650 as my NL MVP.
I'll give you a Rookie of the Year since I gave you a chalk answer on the MVP, and that would be Connor Griffin. He is the 19-year-old shortstop for the Pirates, and I think that this guy could be one of the stories of the game, especially if my belief that the Pirates are going to flash this year. I think he could become a household name for baseball fans. Connor Griffin,
what
plus 300. Plus 300 for Rookie of the Year. Yes. So I'll balance my chalk Ohtani play with a special bonus pick on Connor Griffin. Yes.
All right, we'll take our second and final break. We'll come back and we'll talk Cy Young, one for each league. It's the Spread Zone, sponsored by FanDuel. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone, sponsored by FanDuel. Check the app for the latest future prices because these markets move fast, especially once spring storylines hit. And again, bet responsibly. All right, back to the awards. We're talking AL Cy Young, and we'll start with you, Anthony. Who is your pick?
Give me Max Fried at plus 1,700. Plus 1,300. To win the AL Cy Young. Again, if you're sticking with the themes, I think the Yankees make the playoffs. Max Fried's a bona fide ace. You don't know what you're going to get out of Garrett Cole this season, so he's not going to be ready at the start of the year coming off the Tommy John. So who winds up being the headliner for the Yankees? Max Fried does, and I think that's a nice payout at plus 1,300.
Skubal strikes me as obvious if he is dealing with some kind of distractions with what's going on with his situation. Then you pivot. I thought this guy's numbers would be more favorable from a gambler's standpoint, but it's not. He's second. But I'm high on the Red Sox this year, and therefore I'm high on Garrett Crochet, plus 350.
My guy.
That's your guy?
That's my guy.
Yeah.
Garrett Crochet at plus 350. Skubal is the favorite at plus 240. But with that whole arbitration thing, that's wild that he's going through that.
Yeah, and who knows what kind of distractions it could cause. I don't know. Maybe it won't be anything. But when we were down at spring training, we were talking with the Cardinals have acquired a bunch of guys from Boston. And I asked one of their pitchers, Richard Fitz, I said, who's the guy who stood out and then you couldn't believe you were in the same clubhouse with? And he goes, Garrett Crochet. Guy's a beast. People don't realize how good he is. He is dominant. I'm on Crochet.
Yeah, I'd rather take that plus 350. It's a better number in the top tier of pitchers. Plus 350 is a price I could live with. So that's my pick as well.
Garrett Crochet, I'm on him. Yep.
On the AL Cy Young. NL Cy Young, Anthony?
Give me Chris Sale.
Just signed an extension?
Yeah, give me
peace of mind.
Give me Chris Sale plus 1,000. Like I said, it's funny. I'm looking at this now. I took the former Brave Max Fried, and now I'm taking the current Brave Chris Sale as my NL Cy Young. But yeah, I think with the Braves bouncing back, I got Acuna winning the NL MVP. I got Chris Sale winning the NL Cy Young. I don't know what the odds are that it comes from the same team. Probably unlikely. Nonetheless, let's have some fun. Plus 1,000 for Chris Sale in a bounce back year for not only him but the Braves.
Hey, so I was with you on the AL. I'm with you on the NL.
All right.
Chris Sale, you're paid for the risk at plus 1,000. Mm-hmm. So if the season breaks right, he's healthy. This is a live ticket at plus 1,000.
No doubt.
logic will dictate it's Skeens yet again, but for the fun of giving you one that lends into where you're going here with the boys from Queens, I'll be intrigued to see how Freddie Peralta performs in New York. He's at plus 2,500. When on, he is up there with the most dominating pitchers in the game. The weird thing about Peralta in Milwaukee is he would have maybe 1 out of every 4 or 5 starts where he would just get blown up. And I don't know if that was a frustration thing in Milwaukee thing or if there just becomes some arm wear and tear. But as far as ceiling goes, Freddie Peralta's up there. And to get him, he is listed as the 10th most likely Cy Young winner in the National League. Plus 2,500 strikes me as a really generous number for a bettor. And he's going to be part of a team that I think is competing for a division title. That is why I'm on Freddie Peralta plus 2,500.
Hey, as an aside, look at this. Chris Sale, I was just thinking about it. Chris Sale was the White Sox 2010 first-round pick. Carlos Rodon, who of course is with the Yankees, signed a big deal 2 years ago. He was their 2014 first-round pick. And Garrett Crochet was their 2020 first-round pick. The White Sox theoretically could have Sale, Crochet, and Rodon in the same lineup had they decided to
My goodness.
same rotation,
That's smarts.
Team can draft, it just can't do anything else.
Yeah, they. For the record, the Chicago White Sox team win total this year is set at 70.
Is that high, huh?
Yeah,
70.
70. Yeah.
Sweetest uniforms in the league, though.
Yeah, I like those uniforms too. I'm with you.
You get the black hat, Riz.
Yeah.
The black top with the pinstripe white pants. Come on.
Sharp.
Yeah.
They lose a lot, but they're sharp.
All right, listen. Let's not overcomplicate things. This is it. This is the futures, the future show, the MLB future show. And listen, maybe we can make some money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can make some money. No, you know what? We will make some money.
Oh my goodness, it's
That's
happening. It is happening.
The best part about doing this in mid to late February, nobody's going to remember this.
Oh, no. The people will remember.
Yeah, I gave you South Carolina and Clemson and the Washington Commanders on the football future show. I haven't slept ever since.
All right, fellas, if that's everything, I think that's a wrap on this week's Spread Zone.
Sweet.
Sponsored by FanDuel. See you next week.
We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.